more on the conversation about this relief deal. Want to bring in Bill Daley. He served as White House Chief of Staff to President Obama, currently a Vice Chairman at Wells Fargo. Good morning to you. Merry Christmas. Great to see you, Bill. Just add some perspective here. I mean, do you think that do you think there's going to be do you think something at $2,000 a head is going to get passed here?
I think it's really the president trying to get some leverage with Mitch McConnell and the Senate Republicans, who very aggressively the other day stated that there'll be no action in the Senate regarding the election. And so I think the president is searching for finding some leverage against McConnell and Thune and the Republicans in the Senate, who pretty well shot down any attempt to address in early January the election results. But it does turn, as Eamon said, turns people's heads when you've had a president stay out of the negotiations. You have a defense authorization bill being vetoed that I don't think has ever been done. That will be, I assume, easily overrode by the Senate and the House. But this package that's so necessary and was negotiated over months and months, to throw the grenade in the middle of it at the very end is really rather pathetic. But I think it's all about trying to get some leverage with this theory that he can revisit and have the Congress revisit the election in early January. And politically, I can't figure it out, because he has two Republican senators who voted for both of these packages and are now campaigning 2 weeks away from the election. So it doesn't make a lot of sense other than trying to get leverage on something else.
But Bill, I appreciate I don't want to call it conspiracy theory. Maybe that's what it is. But I don't understand the rationale of how you would gain leverage, therefore, in January, especially if you don't pass this now. The second piece of it that I also don't understand, and Eamon alluded to this in the 6 o'clock hours, there was a series of pardons which took place in the last 24 hours, which seemed to have upset not just Democrats, but a number of prominent Republicans.
And I think there'll be plenty more pardons that will upset a lot of people. But that's one area that they have no power to do anything about. What I'm talking about is I think the president, one of the things may be that he is trying to get leverage, as I said, and will try to get some understanding with the Senate leadership that they will at least consider his theory around trying to affect the election. Do I think it works? I think it's a long shot, but there's no other logic to this. He did not engage at all in the negotiations. His team, led by Secretary Mnuchin, negotiated it. His senators, the Republicans who support him and House members, voted for it mostly. And the two Senate Republicans that are up for election in 10 days or 2 weeks, they voted for it. And now to throw it up for grabs, there has to, in my opinion, and I'm not a conspiratorialist, there has to be some theory here of the case other than just he woke up and realized what was in the bill and didn't like it.
Hey, Bill, it's Scott. It's good to see you this morning.
Yeah,
I'm wondering how much responsibility does Speaker Pelosi bear in all of this? She could have done a deal months and months and months ago, but did not. Should she be held accountable for that?
Well, look at the deal that she wanted, obviously, months and months ago was much, much larger. And Mitch McConnell and the Senate Republicans, and I think McConnell was pretty clear, he didn't have the votes to do a big deal. I think the Democrats wanted somewhere around $3 trillion. Well, there was no way that was going to happen. As it inched down to a smaller amount, the votes in the House that Pelosi has, obviously there was rumblings, and Democrats love the idea now of $2,000, and they were there a long time ago. But they all have some guilt around, or they all own this in some way or another. But I think to say, well, she should have done a deal months ago, there was no one to do a deal with in the Senate up until last week. And that was pretty obvious that McConnell didn't have the vote, that he wasn't going to do it.
She could have done a smaller deal, though, right? Months ago, I mean, you end up doing $900 billion now. She could have maybe gotten something closer to that months ago, and at least maybe even a piecemeal deal. Now we've held out for so long, and we find ourselves into a situation where the people who need the money aren't getting the money, and now may have to wait even longer because of the president blowing the whole thing up.
Well, again, they all own this. Democrats, Republicans, this chaos that's going on, this process that has been totally circumvented. We have a possible government shutdown. You have military people not getting their paychecks if this defense bill isn't overridden. So yeah, every member of Congress and everyone in the executive branch who's been involved in this have some ownership of this terrible situation we're in the middle of a pandemic. If the EU and Britain could come to a deal on Brexit, you mean to tell me that we can't get a deal done in the United States Congress to bring relief in the middle of an economic crisis and a pandemic?
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.